Jason David Frank, the
Right.
Tommy the Green Ranger, he died November 20th or November 19th. But I'll tell you this. Everybody has like a fictional character that when they're a child, I'm sure you could pick it, like take anybody and be like, where did you derive your strength from in fiction? Whether it's Batman or whatever.
And we lost him too. We lost Batman.
Oh my God. All of our heroes. Yeah. But there's a cohort of us that probably I fit exactly into.
Nah, me too.
Yeah. Like from age 7 to 10 in 93 to 96, that this Power Ranger was that character. And
yeah, he was the coolest, most compelling character on TV for us, like, especially because he started off as a villain character and then he became good basically. And there was like that simple redemption story was just like automatically made him cooler. Made him
even to a child. I think even to a child, because everybody's favorite was the Red Ranger, and then Tommy the Green Ranger comes along and everybody likes him better. And I swear it's because like it is better to be to fail and be redeemed than it is to have not failed in the first place. I think there's something about storytelling where I mean,
the story of the prodigal son.
I was gonna say it's all over Christianity.
Like, because you have the faithful son who never strays, and then you have the prodigal son who strays and then comes back, and he's more celebrated. And then like the faithful son's like, hey, what'd you do? Why are you celebrating him? I was here the whole time. And he's basically like told off like, hey, it's better that this guy comes back.
I mean, you could argue that the entire basis of Christian philosophy is like, there's this original sin. There's, you failed in the first place. And you would ask like, well, why would God create people that had the capacity for failure if he wanted to create paradise? And it's like, well, because the divine plan is actually to have forgiveness and success out of failure. It's actually better than purity. Yeah. Something like that.
And that's why Tommy was awesome.
So that goes a little deep but I do if you look through that prism, I think like you'd find so many stories, or even your own story, where you're like, wow, like I'm actually glad I fucked that up, so that I could do this next thing better and grow. And I think children identified that. And plus he was kind of like an alternate Red Ranger. He was just as tall. He was just as talented. They kind of pitted them against one another as kind of like mirror copies of one another. And he not only became good in the story, but he went on to be the leader, and he went on to be like every iteration of Power Ranger you could be from that. He became like Red Zeo. He became Black Dino, Red Turbo, of course, the White Ranger. Man, when I was a kid, when he came back as the White, because there was this whole very angsty season of Power Rangers where he was losing his powers and he eventually lost them entirely. And you were back to the original 5. And it just felt, as a child, it felt so much like we had come so far just to return back to the original 5, Yeah. And then he comes back triumphantly with, fully powered. But yeah, like I remember getting braces and being really scared, being like, what if it hurts or whatever? And my mom being like, just, you're the Green Ranger when you sit in that chair. Or, of course I dressed up as him, and I was part of the Power Rangers, fan club. And they package in these photocopies of autograph, every actor in their sort of Halloween costume. Cause the American version had the more Halloween-y costume version of the, versus, and much thicker too. Versus the Japanese. And I had the Jason David Frank one. Nice. And this one is quite a bit more kind of wrinkled and beaten up than the other ones. Because this would like come in the, in the car with me, and I'd be like, oh, I could dress up like that, and I could be like him. And
I remember when the movie came out, the McDonald's had the little figures in vehicles that they could ride. And it was like a lottery, which one you got. And I remember being so happy I got the White Ranger.
Yeah.
And because it's like that's the only one you wanted.
He was a wicked draw for that movie. And the movie knew it. Like there was, at the beginning of the movie, they skydive.
Right.
And they created, I don't know why, and they had a character in there, like a child, because normally Power Rangers didn't really have children in it.
Right.
Though ironically, Super Sentai always did. Like almost every episode is about some Japanese child.
That's really interesting.
Who's paired with one of the Rangers. Yeah, it's really, really weird. But so like you're always looking up to teenagers as a child. But when they made the kind of full length, fully American produced movie, they were like, let's have a child character that the kids can sort of see the Power Rangers through, and they could be part of the heroism. And he's like landing from the skydiving, and this kid Fred is like, yeah, they're like, and it's Tommy. Like he was very much the movie star of that movie.
So now it's all up to Tommy Oliver. Can he make it 6%? Yeah, go Tommy!
Right.
The other Rangers took a big backseat, whereas I think when the series first started, there wasn't like one that really was out in front of the others. And I think this dude knew it, you know. The other thing that I was thinking about was how many kids in the 90s do you think took martial arts classes because of that man?
Probably like half. It's like
Yeah,
all,
I mean,
you know, like all of them.
I remember there was like a White Ranger martial arts videotape you could get.
Did you
What was it
have
called?
it?
No, I actually didn't. It was one of the few things I didn't. I had a massive collection, which is actually behind me. Martial arts tape.
Yeah,
What
I
was
definitely had. I had the his White Eagle,
Oh, the Falcon. Yeah.
the Falcon Megazord or whatever,
Yes.
and yeah, with that attached to the back of the Megazord.
I see one now. Yeah, there we go. Look at that. The Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Karate Club, the White Ranger Kata. That's what it was called. The White Ranger Kata, featuring Sensei Jason David Frank, who probably was like 22 years old
Wow.
because he died at 49. And it's really weird. Very recently he was like, I'm going to be in Dartmouth, and then I'm going to be which is Dartmouth. Then I'm going to be in Woodchester, and I'm going to be in Brockton, and I'm going to be at the Toy Vault. I'm going to be at Cranston. Maybe that's Rhode Island. Is that Rhode Island? These are all places that are like 10 minutes away from me.
I'm in Toy Vault, Darth Mouth. Hope I said that right. Darth Mouth, Braintree, Massachusetts. GameStop, Chelsea, Lowell, Massachusetts. Worcester, Cranston, that's Massachusetts. And then, or I believe that might be Rhode Island, my bad.
And I think he already came through here, but he was like you talk to anybody, they'll be like, oh, he was going to make an appearance at my mall or whatever. Like he really spent a lot of time.
He came out there for fans. He like
Yeah.
made time for them.
There's a few people in my life that I'm not all that close with, but like the one thing we know about each other is that we're really big Power Rangers fans. And so, yeah, it's been, like, I don't know. This feels very, very bad.
No,
Jason David Frank.